Good morning, everyone. Once again, I would like to extend my heartiest gratitude to Shahid to spare some time and come to the college and enlighten students about the business life. I'm sure most of you are from the financial management and the business management. I think most of you have already heard my story and the college story, but it's a repetition, but this is the cycle we go through every time and every year. College started at a very small scale, and we didn't have all this singing and dancing and state-of-the-art stuff. We used to sit on the floor with 3 students. They used to study GCSEs and A-levels. Free tutorial they used to get, and they never had any hope that they would pass GCSEs. But when they studied and they took the free tuition from our management committee, we were 3 people in the management committee and 3 students only. When they took part in our free tutorials, they didn't only pass, but they got A grades. So that really encouraged us, inspired us and other students to continue that work. The program was called HELP, Holidays Education Learning Program. So HELP went on for nearly 3-4 years, and then we designed another project called SEED, Support for Employability Enhancement and Development, where a lot of parents, they were of the concern that education is good, but our children are not employable. They are shy. They keep their eyes down like this. You know, this is how they are trained, not to stare in the eyes of other people. So we need to build their confidence. Hence, we started SEED project. When program was started, Stockwell Green Community Services, the charitable umbrella body, was in receipt of a lot of money from the Muslim benefactors, from the local authority, from the European Union. Whatever money we received, we matched that fund. If we received £200,000, we, the community, we matched that £200,000. So it became £400,000. Hence, this whole operation was on by the management committee on voluntary basis, but we trained our staff. Some of those people, they still work with us. For example, Abdul Qadir, I don't know whether he's here today or not, but he is one of our very old employees. And he was one of the trainees. He took training from us, then he started volunteering with us, and then he became part-time employee, now he's full-time employee. So you can see the change, slow change we brought in our community.
First of all, thank you for inviting me down here. It's a pleasure. I can talk a bit about obviously the college itself, because one of the organisations I'm involved in is Mosaic, which is Prince Charles Charity, which is getting positive Muslim role models to help become mentors. And the college itself has, I had to make one phone call on the social responsibility side, and they bought into it, and they're becoming a delivery partner. I came to England in '69. I was about mid-9. We lived in Guildford, which is majority of the people, 99%. Well, in fact, we were the first Pakistani family to live in Guildford. So I had no choice but to integrate, because I didn't have anybody other than English friends. So, and going to school where couldn't speak English, it was extremely difficult. My father was here before he got married, and I came to England with my sister, my mum, like most migrants, in '69. But the school was very good, and that school appointed an English teacher for us to help my sister and I to, sort of learn the language. And what happened was and my passion will show you, hopefully, if you go through this journey, and hopefully show you I stick to my values and principles. Because one of the things when I left Pakistan, was my grandfather. My grandfather was probably my, you know, I love to say my dad was my role model, but my grandfather, I have to say, at my wife's side, my father's side, were the two great role models for me, because they were seen in the community as the elders, and people listened to them, and they, you know, they had values and they had principles, and they had a great community spirit. And my grandfather was told me, he said, look, you're going to go into another world. And I remember this, and he said to me, well, you must realise that you might be really, really good at lots of things, but nobody can teach you life unless you lived it. So whatever you do, surround yourself with older people who actually lived the life. And that probably stood me quite a long way of my career, really. So always have respect, and you have to have respect for everybody. So I came to 69, ended up, as I say, in Guildford, and I'm not sure if you are football fans, but England won the World Cup in 1966, and people still talk about it, but you know, they sort of won it, and I didn't know what football was. And our next door neighbour, part of my learning was, he said, I'd take you to Guildford City Football Club, which was on a Tuesday evening, and it was raining, it was miserable, but it was 6,000–7,000 people, and that was, to me, was the best experience I ever felt. It was just fantastic, the experience, and I just loved football, and I wanted to be a footballer. And what really happened at school was that, well, I couldn't communicate with the kids during the, you know, learn the lessons and that, but during playtime, I felt I was the same level playing field as them. I could play football, I would try and kick the ball, or get into cricket, or rounders, but I could actually be on the same par and I could communicate. To me, sport has been a great level, and I still believe to this day, don't matter what it is, sport is a great leveler, whatever country, nationality, it unites people, and that's why I'm quite passionate about sports. So that was 69. 1970, my father moved to Slough, before the Under-25 was built. If you don't know this area, he moved to Slough. And that was a real eye-opener for me, because that's when I first came to the big Pakistani or Indian community. And the kids were all second-generation migrants. And I went to this school where we got picked up, and all the Indians and Pakistanis and Bangladeshis went one part of the school, and all the English went to the other part of the school. All taught by English, all taught by Pakistanis. And when you're young, you don't realise the issues. And I didn't really have any issues, because it was too, you know, probably not intelligent enough to understand what the issues were, but I just didn't think of it. But what I did have an issue was, during playtime, I used to go and play football with English. Because that's what I wanted to do, I wanted to be a footballer. In particular, the Indian guys and Pakistani guys didn't like me mixing with the English people. And I used to get beaten up. And so my father one day used to get picked up, and I was at school, and basically I told him I got beaten by this guy, and my father wasn't happy. Came and smacked this kid, who was about 3 years older than me. My father got arrested, put in prison for a day, and we hated it, and we left Slough and came back to Guildford. And my father lived at number 11 Denzil Road in sort of 63, bought the house, and when he sold it in 69, 11 Denzil Road, and we came back 6 months later and bought 46 Denzil Road, and he still lives in the same road since 63. He's probably the longest living person, well, you know, the residents in there. But what I found was, I really wanted to be a footballer. So I really focused on football. I could play football, and I really put a lot of emphasis into that. I went to a school, which was probably, in the whole of Guildford, was probably the worst school you could go to. Most people would be expelled and go to that school. I'm not proud, but I got expelled from that school. Because that's an honour, really, to be honest. You get expelled from people again, so I must be quite different, really. So, and the reason was that I was the only Pakistani kid there. Most of the English kids were there, and I used to get picked on. It wasn't racism. It just I was different. I used to get picked on, and I used to get picked on the first year, and I thought I'd deal with this problem. So I picked a fight decided to all the people, I left the first year, second year, I found the toughest guy in third year, and I had a fight with him for no reason, so I just smacked him. And he really did beat me up quite badly. But what happened was, I left the first and second years alone. We said, don't mess around with him because he's a nutter, so he'll fight with anybody. So basically the way I saw it was, you forget the first two courses, 2 years. But what was sad was that, because I couldn't speak English, I became a bit of a bully. So any time there was a problem, I would communicate like this. It's nothing to be proud of, but it's just the way it was. So I got expelled. So my father, of all things, said, right, I'm going to teach you a lesson. So what he did was, he put me into a boarding school. So he thought, right, I'm going to put you in a private school, you're going to go to a boarding school, and I want you to become a doctor. So great. So go to this boarding school, I realised, no, I can only speak English. At home my mum was teaching me Quran in Arabic. I was learning Latin, French and German. Right? So 3 years in England, coming from Pakistan, speaking Punjabi or Urdu, and then ending up with 6 different languages, and people think I must be thick because I can't understand what the hell's going on. But what I did discover, and this is where the sort of the entrepreneurship really came into, was you always look for opportunities. And I found an opportunity being the only Muslim kid in school, and I also saw an opportunity that nobody liked school dinners. So in the 70s, they didn't have these vegetarian options or halal options or these sort of things. So I got my father to write a letter to school saying, because I wasn't having that food, I was the only person allowed out of school to go and get my dinner. But as I say, I saw an opportunity because all these kids were rich. So I thought, I will take orders, because nobody liked school dinner, so I used to take their orders to bring them back fish and chips, chicken and chips, and I used to charge them. So I would bring back fish and chips, and so I suppose that's, so in 72 I used to charge them 50p at a time. And I used to go to the fish and chip shop and I said to the guy, I said, look, I'm buying 20 portions. I should get mine free. So my dad used to give my 50p, so I had my 50p from him, plus £2. So I made £2.50 a day in 72. And the national salary in 72, average salary for a sort of worker was £3,000 a year. I used to make £3 a day. So what happened then was, then I thought, these are boarding school, and then I found, and this is sort of where my business sense come in, so then I realised that there used to be a sweet shop, tuck shop, the kids shop. So most people used to get their money on Friday, most of the money was spent on Monday. So the money I used to make loaning them, well, bringing fish and chips and food back, I used to loan the money to them because they run out of pocket money, and by Friday, and please don't get offended, but I should charge them interest. so I used to charge, I said by Friday I have to be doubled. If it wasn't doubled, they knew I got expelled from the roughest school there was there, they would pay me. So I made good money. Then I thought, well, I've got to find a corporate, you have a corporate customer. So I found a corporate 3 customers. The people who could eat the most sweets, and one particular guy could take a whole pack of opal fruits and Maltesers in one go and eat them. And I thought, this is going to be my corporate customer. This is the guy that's going to repeat business day in, day out. So I used to loan this money there and that sort of thing. And to be honest, I wasn't really interested in academically. I wasn't interested in O-level, I just wanted to be a footballer. And I was really fortunate that in 74, I was playing football. I really excelled in it because I was quite a good coordinated footballer. And I was asked to join, probably I was the first professional Asian footballer in the UK in 74. I signed for Aldershot, a town. They were in Division 2 at that time. 6 months into my contract, I broke my leg, I broke my tibia and fibia, I had a metal plate. It was a match against the armed services, and that was my end of my football career. So, I could I was very disappointed, no O-levels, nothing. So my father, my uncles back in Pakistan were all generals in the army, so they said, right, you're going to come and join the military. So I joined the Pakistan Academy. and I lasted 2 weeks. I hated being told when to go to bed, when to get up, and to be honest, if I was there, I probably would have made a general. Not because of my ability, it's probably because of connections and the fast track. So I don't want anything done for me. If I can't achieve it myself, I wasn't really going to be interested. So during when General Zia was sort of military ruler, that was what, 1982, 81?
From 77 to 88.
So I don't know if you remember General Kamal Eman.
It was in the early 80s.
Yeah, so that was my uncle who was Chief of Army Staff. So he didn't really like me not joining. He thought I was a loser. So and I didn't get expelled. I just walked out. I had my British passport. I came back to the UK. So I came back to the UK and I didn't know what to do. I really didn't know what to do. I had no qualification, huge recession, and I wanted to be a footballer again. But I just couldn't perform. I really wanted to get a job, and I applied for this job called a data processor. Didn't know what it was. I just applied for this job, and this guy sort of interviewed me and said, "Well, why do you want to become a computer operator?" And I said, "Well, look, I just come back from Pakistan, and my relatives are in banks. I saw these computers, and this is a job for me." I was in the library. The guy, head of the department, was there, and he saw me, and I quickly put back the squash books and took out data processing fundamentals and programming and that, and I just stood behind him, knowing well he's there. He looked around and he said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Oh, I just want to learn about my job really, so that's why." Anyway, he goes, I knew I made the right decision, so he called me next day and he put me on fast track for promotion and learning. And you know, and to be fair, civil service were brilliant. They taught me everything in technology. They used to spend, in 1979, 79, 80, they used to spend probably 17 to 18,000 pounds a year on my training. It was fantastic training. I got promoted very quickly. I found the higher I got, the less work I was doing. So I thought, this is not really right. So I took a drop, moved into communication and networking, because I was working mainframes. And I realised that it's coming up to about 9-10 years in the civil service, and they said, "Look, we now want you to move into," I became a higher executive officer, and they said, "We want you to become, we want you to go to Brussels and work on the Commonwealth agricultural policy." It was the Ministry of Agriculture I worked for, and it just, paperwork, and I'm not a detailed person, didn't do it for me, so I thought, no, I can't do that. So then I was loaned to the Dockland Development Corporation, you know, what you see out of dogs, you know, what's now the Canary Wharf. I worked on it when it was just flat land.
How can we develop internship in a war zone countries?
Do you have an internship scheme for students? If so, can you offer some to LCB students?
How do we get the Pakistani entrepreneurial community who are in the UK to help society back in Pakistan?
Right, okay. In the war zones, how can we set up this scholarship program? How can we support those communities? It's probably coincidence that we have supported one charity which is going to help the Afghan children. We recently awarded them quite a reasonable sum. They're taking the cricket team from the UK to Pakistan. There will be big matches with the senior players, and there will be matches with the army team, and President House and Prime Minister House, they're involved, and President Karzai is involved. General Sir David Richards and his wife, Lady Caroline Richards, they're involved. I had a meeting with them the other day in St. James Palace. So we are supporting communities whichever way we can. But in the war zone, it is extremely difficult to carry out such kind of entrepreneurial activities. We need to first make the circumstances or the environment which is not hostile. Only then the business community and the entrepreneurs will go there. We are working towards that. I hope that answers.
Thank you. Just to add on to that, I was being involved in Surrey University. They obviously, apart from, I mean, they excel in management, schools, training, health, engineering. I was very keen to get Surrey University to have a base in Pakistan. We had the funding to do that. The problem we live in the perception of Pakistan is that they didn't want to get their names tarnished. They thought if they put their own people out there, that something happens, that'll go reflect bad on the university. So we're in a very awkward situation and difficult situation how we do that. My view was that we would do 2 years in Pakistan and the next 2 years in the UK. The whole thing would have been funded by Pakistan. But it's a challenge and you will start sort of slowly. And the charity that I'm involved in a human rights charity is called Jubilee Action. And their slogan is that the strapline is, from small rock movement, landslides happen. So from small rock movement, landslides happen. So you can't just say we're going to just have this landslide. We'll start slowly somewhere. And I think the LCBMIT is doing it is a fantastic work. But we'll start somewhere. You know, that happen overnight. So I think that's. But you have to try. So that's the one thing, and I'm very keen to help wherever I can to help to facilitate if it was possible. Your question about internship. Yes, we offer internship. As you know, this country is going through a huge recession, huge high unemployment. Everybody's talking about sort of academies and internship. But at the same time, there's lots of people on the back of this trying to make lots of money where you commit to these internship or apprenticeships and that. And really what happens is that there's people making money on the back of that, and it's not really going to the individuals where they should be. It's a bit like, I can't remember the school, it's Connect, where they give work placement for students when they're 16 before they go out to the real world. And what happens is that they get X amount, they never talk about what the work they want to do, they never identify the type of work they should be doing. So I ended up offering some internship or work experience, and the people used to turn up weren't even interested in it. They're passionate something else, and I end up looking after people, my company ends up people. Resource has a problem because we're trying to, instead of doing my job, we're trying to train at the same time, so there's a double whammy. So we're very, very particular what we get. But we do, when it comes to IT, whether it's technology, marketing, we're trying to offer an internship, and through the college, I'm sure we can provide some kind of link into that. The third question, I'll come back about Pakistan, but the fourth question is about resources to help entrepreneurs to come up with that. To be honest, there are huge forums or networks, but it's always, you're learning from people, asking questions. Never ever be afraid to ask somebody a question, because the worst thing they cannot say is no, right? Always ask. And you know what, sometimes it's difficult. It's easier to say yes than it's to say no. Well, certainly in my own experience. So, and you'd be quite amazed how many people do want to help. This entrepreneurship or business thing, it's not a closed, guarded secret. People do genuinely, and people do like to be asked. Trust me, people want to be valued. And if you ask people something like that, look, what I can guarantee you here today, sitting here, and I deal with 50, 60 people here, and these guys know me. If I say we're going to do something, we will do something. So it might not be the result you want, but you will get an answer, and how we do that. So I'm more than happy to filter this course through to you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for our talent recognition award ceremony. Association of Business Executives December 2011 exams took their exams and achieved high grades such as A stars, A's and B's. So ladies and gentlemen, if I may, I'd like to ask Shahid Azeem, Mr. Qureshi and Sheikh Saab, so if you can come to the front of the table. Ladies and gentlemen, I will first call James Agbor for achieving grade B in managing and organizations and strategic human resource management. James Agbor.
just take a quick picture.
Okay, one moment.
Thank you, James. Well done. Congratulations. Fawzia Ashraf for achieving A-star in corporate strategy planning and grade A in managing organizations. Yeah, corporate strategy and planning.
Okay, one moment.
Well done, Amar. Congratulations. Next, I'd like to invite Kevin Kingo Muchuo for achieving grade A in human resource management and grade A in the business development and entrepreneurship. Thank you, Kevin. Congratulations. I'd like to now invite Faiza Ayub, who achieved grade A in marketing, quality, and the business environment grade B. Thank you very much, Faiza. We did have two more students, unfortunately couldn't make it today. They do send their apologies. Just to mention their names and extend their apologies. One is Muhammad Arslan Tariq and Madhu Sudan Rai, who both achieved A-stars and A's in the relevant topics. So, thank you. Students, I'd like to now bring the event to a formal close. Thank you very much for attending today.